Welcome back to day 2 of the NFL draft coverage from the Miami Herald's Dolphins In Depth podcast. I'm your host, Omar Kelly. Joining me is Isaiah Smalls for us to break down the addition of Jonah Savaiinaea. Did I say it right, Isaiah?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yeah, for sure.
Eh, Jonah Savaiinaea, who the Miami Dolphins, they did something bold, something unique that this organization hasn't done probably in quite a while. I'm not sure they've ever done it in the Chris Greer era in terms of a trade up to the early second round. They selected Jonah Savaiinaea at 37, trading up from pick number 48. Now, in exchange for Savaiinaea, who I've always been talking about because this is what I'd heard, that there were 10 elite offensive linemen in this draft who were ready to become day one starters. And basically, I'm a panicker, Isaiah. When it comes to offensive line, I get my O line IBS. It starts to act up on me, and I wrote a column before the draft. It was the day of the draft, which basically said, if you do not address this offensive line, and it becomes a problem, and it's at the point where a rookie cannot beat out Liam Eichenberg, or you have to trade up and do what happened in 2021 when you had to draft Liam Eichenberg in
Uh-oh.
terms of giving up the equivalent of a third round pick. I said, if you made yourself that thirsty in day 2 and ended up empty handed or had to give up something of substance, I said, you should be fired. You were about to lose your job. You remember that? You were about to lose
Yeah, of course. You were about to lose your child.
your
Yeah,
job. Yeah.
got you.
So it was a threat, Isaiah. It was
Mhm,
a threat because
mhm.
you cannot be Steve Ross. You cannot know your offensive line tanked the entire season. Then here we go in free agency. You don't properly address it. You only sign one free agent, James Daniels. And then you pass on getting a good offensive lineman, Gray Zabel, who is probably the only player that I would have picked over Kenneth Grant.
Mhm.
So I get it. You stack your board how you feel. Kenneth Grant is a higher rated player than Gray Zabel. You take Kenneth Grant. You don't put yourself in a desperate spot. But as you know about the Miami Dolphins, they had put themselves in a desperate spot. So what they did in my calculations is they did trade away their third round pick, pick number 98. Then they did a fourth and a fifth round swap with the Las Vegas Raiders in order to get Jonah Savaiinaea,
Sabanea.
Savaiinaea. Now, how did you evaluate the move?
I mean, look, they gave up a little bit. Gave up
A
a little
little
bit.
bit. Oh, hold
They
on,
not,
a little
they
bit.
gave up. Look. They gave up a little bit. They gave up a little bit. Kind of a lot, but a little bit. This has to be your guy, right? Because the last time they did something similar, right, was to your point, was to draft Liam Eichenberg, right? And so he has to be in. They've talked so much about investing in the offensive line and about how they need NFL starters, right? This on paper, again, on paper fits that bill, right? They've gone from on back-to-back days. We've talked ad nauseum about how much they need to adjust the church. They've done that on back-to-back days. Now we just have to see how this plays out, on the field, right? Because on paper, that Jonah he's big, he's versatile, he's played right guard, right tackle, left tackle. They love those guys that are versatile, right? So he fits the mold of a Dolphins player, right? On paper. Again, let's just hope that the talent there is good enough to measure up to what is on paper, right?
But you saw him first person. You saw him at the Senior Bowl. And what did you say about his performance at the Senior Bowl, Isaiah?
Unfortunately, it wasn't extremely memorable. He was one of those guys that when we were talking and they're like, "Oh yeah, he was at the Senior Bowl," I turned around out of my chair and said, "He was at the Senior Bowl." I don't remember him, and I would say that that's not necessarily a bad sign, but it's not necessarily a good sign either. Gray Zabel, I remember him at the Senior Bowl. He was one of the top guys that I was very, very fond of. Walter Nolan, remember him at the Senior Bowl. Another guy I was very fond of. You know, and again, it's not necessarily a bad thing that I don't remember because there's plenty of players that I remember at the Senior Bowl for all the wrong reasons, right? This
Okay.
is, and so like the fact that I don't remember is neither good nor bad. It's just that he didn't necessarily do anything that stood out. So, it is what it is at this point, right? He's a Miami Dolphin. Let's just hope that he
Mhm.
has the skill, talent, and ability to beat out the Liam Eichenbergs of the world and shore up that offensive line.
Here's the thing about Jonah. He's young. He's 21. He's big, 6'5", 336 pounds. When I looked at his film in Arizona, because I've had the list of offensive linemen, I have 9 of the 10. Everybody will give me a different name for that 10th player. So, this is, but Jonah is universally viewed as the 9th best guy. Coincidentally, he is the 9th offensive lineman picked in this draft. Okay. And very high, 5 picks from basically being a first rounder. And when I looked at the film to finish what I was saying, it's okay. Now, he played multiple positions. One game he's at left guard, one game he's at right tackle, one game he's at right guard. So he played so many positions, obviously because of team need. Now, gave up 4 sacks. That's not as horrible as it seems. What I like about him is that he has the power that Tyler Booker has in terms of anchoring down, being able to move people. But he doesn't necessarily fit the athletic mold that they want. What I love about him also is that he's Polynesian, Samoan, from American Samoa. Went to the exact same high school as Tua Tagovailoa. He's part of Tua's documentary as the next great Samoan coming to the NFL pipeline. He's highly thought of in NFL circles and from offensive line people. I am from when I have an offensive line guy where this is what he does. He just does offensive line and wasn't on my guys list. So my only concern about this selection, because I'm all about getting a conviction on a guy and taking that guy. That is your guy. I don't care where people project that guy because he was taken where he was projected. But if you love somebody, get him, invest in him, make him good. Because there's clearly things that Miami Dolphins know about him. They've visited him. They've done their research. They've talked to him. They've had him on a 30 visit. If he is your guy, great. Develop him and let's ride. Now, so I love the fact that they did that. What I don't love is you see this roster, looks like Swiss cheese. It's got holes everywhere. They need another defensive tackle. They need a defensive end. They need 2 cornerbacks. They need a safety. They need a running back. They need some more wide receivers. They need a tight end. They got a lot of needs. And now you've gone from 10 draft picks to 9 draft picks. No crime and shame in doing that. But here's my second guess special, okay? And this is how I will evaluate this draft. Was Jonah Savaiinaea worth 2 players, 48 that you could have gotten at 48 and 98? I'm going to give you a list of names because I've gone down what was available and my thought process of what I would have done. These are the 5 names. It doesn't matter where I picked them, but these are my 5 names that I would have selected at 48, and then the one guy I would have went with at 98, and I'm sure I would have went with this guy. Wyatt Milam, the West Virginia offensive lineman. He's an offensive tackle, expected to convert into offensive guard. Now, with Jonah, you've seen him play guard. You know what it looks like. With others, you don't. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. Wyatt was my offensive line guru's number 3 guy in the draft in terms of what I needed because I give him specifics. We play outside zone. He's an offensive line specialist. I say, this is what I need. Outside zone, interior guy, can play left and right and maybe swing out to tackle. Wyatt was the number 3 name on that list for me. Then you get to Dylan Fairchild, who was picked at Wyatt was picked at pick number 89. So he went in the second day. He went in the third round. Then you get to Dylan Fairchild. And I'm going to include Tate Rutledge. 2 Georgia offensive linemen. There's certain things in the NFL. You can't go wrong with a Wisconsin, a Notre Dame, or a Georgia offensive lineman. It's just proven. It's like buying Sony. Now they have busted for Miami. Michael Dieter was a bust. Lee Michael was a bust. So you can't always believe in the brand, but they have busted for Miami. But I would have. Which one did I have? Give me 1 second. It wasn't Tate Rutledge. It was Dylan Fairchild. I have it in my notes. Like him. Dylan Fairchild was projected as a 4th round pick. Could I have selected him in the 3rd? Maybe. But he went in the 3rd at 81. If I would have said, let me wait till the 3rd round to get him and try to get him at 98, he wouldn't have been there. You got to get the bird in the hand instead of going for 2 in the bush. So I probably would have effed that up.
Yeah.
Tate Rutledge, another Georgia product. He went at 57. I probably would have had to take him at 48, depending on how the evaluation is. Okay, if that was my guy. And then Ole Miss cornerback Trey Amos, he went at 61. Me, I really think, based on what we've heard constantly from Chris Grier on the pre-combine talk, on day 1 of the draft, and on day 2 of the draft, Chris Grier got him some cornerbacks that he's going to get in his mind, in free agency and in later rounds. He is not thirsty for cornerbacks. Maybe he's got a deal pending with Jalen Ramsey in a swappable cornerback. Chris Grier, does he seem panicked to you about cornerback, Isaiah?
No. He seems very cool, calm, collected, and that's very surprising for a guy that is the general manager of a team that does not have has one disgruntled cornerback on your team and basically 2 starting spots to fill. It's honestly very surprising. Like, he should run a class on how to stay calm under pressure if he's that good, because
that is Chris. That honestly is Chris. I'm not even going to front with you. This is Chris. He don't do desperate things. He don't panic. So he got some deal lined up pending for who I don't know, but he don't seem stressed at all about cornerback. And in fact, yesterday he was asked if amends could be made with Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey can come back here. I don't expect Jalen Ramsey to be traded during the draft. I expect him to be traded after the draft. More than likely, it's going to be for a player, or for a 2026 pick. I think they've already got it worked out some way, somehow. Don't know how it's all going to play out, but Jalen Ramsey is maybe some team has already agreed to make a selection in the 4th round for Miami and then send them Jalen Ramsey a swap on June 1st. I don't know. We'll find out. Today is day 3. So those are the 4 that I would have probably considered at 48. And then when we got to pick number, I'll give you a 5th. Shamar Turner. Shamar Turner is a defensive lineman that they had in for a 30 visit. I love him. Love the film. I think he can transition to be a 3-4 end, playing a role that they really don't have right now, especially with Calais Campbell off the roster. He was picked at 62, so I probably couldn't have waited for him at 62. I mean, at 98. So, but those are 5 players that I'm thinking in my mind. Are those 5 players, as a combination of 2 of those 5 players, worth Jonah Savaiinaea?
I mean, based on what you said and where they went, not necessarily, because they would have all gone before the slots. So based off of that alone, I mean, yeah, he's worth it because they got the guy that they think that the guy that they love, and 2, they didn't have to wait as other guys on your draft board keep getting ticked off one by one. So based off that alone, I mean, they did what they need to do. And as you always like to say, no one remembers the picks you gave up if the guy hits, right? No one remembers what the Kansas City Chiefs gave up. No one remembers what the Baltimore Ravens gave up to get Lamar. The Chiefs, i.e., Pat Mahomes. So it doesn't matter as long as Jonah hits. We won't be talking about this. This will be the last time we have this conversation. Then that's as
Absolutely.
long as he hits. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all that matters. And I wish him the best. We talked to him. He had a great personality. He was so I don't even know what the right word is. So overwhelmed that the Dolphins
Yeah.
were like, "You are our guy.
Yeah,
We're trading up for you. Like we're not messing around.
Yeah.
You're our guy. We want you. We want you to be part of this program." And he
Yeah.
talked about being a culture setter. And that's truly what Mike McDaniels is looking for, needs. Mike McDaniels keeps having a phrase that he continues to repeat, which is we need to change the tonality of the team, which basically we need to stop being BA players. We need to stop being a BA team and get tough guys. And Jonah certainly fits that mold. Mike also talked about his ability to anchor and set the pocket is what really impressed them. He does do that. He does anchor down quite well and keeps a clean pocket. And for Tua, as you know, Tua is 6'1", and Tua has admitted that he can't see over the pocket. It hasn't stopped him from being a dynamic, accurate passer. But as long as you can keep that pocket clean, that's the benefit. I actually see Jonah playing right. He plays primarily better on the right side. I see him fitting in as a right guard, which means James Daniels will move to the left guard spot. And let me explain why it's important for James Daniels to move to the left guard spot, because you have Patrick Paul starting and stabilizing it at left guard. You can't have an inexperienced left tackle. You can't have an inexperienced left tackle playing next to a rookie left guard. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
it's veteran with young player, and then the other side you got veteran with young player.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. So hopefully it pans out for the Miami Dolphins. But here is a very annoying but can't be overlooked topic of the NFL draft. And I think it will come into play with the Miami Dolphins with the pick that they have in the 4th round. Shedeur Sanders. I knew coming into the draft that he would be the story of the draft. No question, no doubt about it. What I did not expect, and I also knew he would not be picked early. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be his landing spot. I thought he would be a first rounder. I thought if the Steelers missed on him, somebody would trade up for him and get him in the late first. And then when he makes it to day 2, I thought, okay, some quarterback needy team is going to get him. Maybe Seattle for a backup role, or the Raiders for a backup role, or Pittsburgh will trade up, or Indianapolis. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a stable quarterback situation. I thought somebody would take him. Okay. Here we are, Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado quarterback and the son of Deion Sanders, which I think is a very important thing to mention.
Of course.
Has slid out of day 2. Now he is technically a 4th rounder. I have always said he has a baseline NFL arm. He has a Tua-esque arm. I was not of the opinion, like everybody else, that he was this absolute elite, can't miss prospect. I think a lot of that is evaluators trying to sell the draft. They always use quarterbacks to try to sell the draft. But for Dillon Gabriel to go ahead of him, listen, and I'm not going to disrespect Dillon Gabriel, the Oregon
Dillon
quarterback.
Gabriel is technically the most productive passer in NCAA history, in FBS history, technically, just based off of yards alone. So he's straight. He could throw the ball in college for sure, but he's shorter than me, to be honest. He's like 5'10".
Yeah, for Jalen Milroe, who I get the upside and I get the development and cannon of an arm, athleticism. I thought Baltimore was going to draft him to be Lamar's backup, and then groom another athletic quarterback. But for him to be selected over Shedeur Sanders, I was like, okay. In my opinion, this is clearly a message that the NFL is sending to Shedeur Sanders, to Deion Sanders, and to this NIL culture of athletes. Shedeur Sanders, when he was at Colorado, you know what he was driving?
something nicer than both of our cars combined.
Oh, he had a Bentley. He had a
Uh,
Bentley.
there we go.
He,
Yep.
he had a Bentley. That iced out blinding chain that you
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
That's cool for other players. That's cool for you want a defensive lineman, you a receiver. You expect them to be iced out. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, your quarterback. I don't know about that. Came out
Yeah.
with a rap song this week. Released it.
I wish I had more hands to put more thumbs down on that rap song.
I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was that
Okay.
bad.
Okay.
Don't do that man like that. I didn't think it was that bad.
Okay.
Came out with a rap song this week. He might be working on a reality series.
No, I hope
You
not.
know,
Good God.
yeah, I mean, film crews have been following him since he was in high school. You
No,
know what I'm saying?
Of course.
That reality series could be he could be housewives of the NFL, husbands of the NFL.
Okay, we're getting off topic. Okay.
Who was his date at day 2 of the draft?
Yeah. Shinsia being there was a little bit skeptical. I was
Tell me who Shinsia is.
Shinsia is a very, very fine dance hall star. She got the song "To the Max" that's popping on the interwebs and on Mark Zuckerberg's internet. But I just want to say like just one quick thing about Shedeur, because at this point it's starting to get a little bit disrespectful, right? Like the Tyler Show kid, I understand what you said. He's a big guy, but the guy is my age. The guy is like damn near 28 years old.
There are a lot of people who thought he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, those people need to be fired. But I think there's nothing on tape that shows that the guys picked before him, at least to me, right? That the guys picked before him deserve it. And so my thing is this, like, and you said that like the NFL is trying to send their message. Look, America in of itself has always had problem with loud, brash black men, right? Just bottom line. That is just the reality of the situation, right? And to me, right, it's hard not to look at Shedeur and think that he's falling victim to the quote unquote sins of his father, right? The way that his father came into the league, the way how his father is very brash, all that stuff. Now, it's only natural for you to pass some of that confidence down to your son, right? And what really bugs me right now at this point is that there are players who have gotten praise for the same traits that Shedeur
Johnny Manziel,
Baker Mayfield, right? These guys that they're like, oh my God, I love his passion for the game. Like Baker Mayfield, like I'll never forget when Baker Mayfield beat Ohio State and he ran around the field with the big flag and planted in the middle of the O. Now a lot of guys were pissed about that. A lot of pundits like, how dare you do that? And look, you know how I feel about Ohio State. I grew up in Columbus, right? When I saw that, I said, yo, I want that guy on my team. Why? Because that takes balls, like ball point blank period. That takes balls, right? And Shedeur has that same swagger, and I know I'm getting very flustered, right? But I'm only doing that
this
because
is a cultural thing.
this is a cultural thing. And for what bothers me though is that there's a bunch of black kids across the country, right, that are watching what's happening on this television, right, and think and might have somebody in their ear saying that this is right, and to me it's completely wrong. It is a total misstep, and I feel like and look, at this point I'm gonna be happy wherever Shedeur goes, right? But I heard Emmanuel Osho talk about this, and I usually don't listen to him, but one of the things he brought up is the fact that like once you're drafted in the 4th round, it's a lot easier to get you out the league, right? 4th round and beyond, right? Now, all the quarterbacks that were drafted in this round, everyone talks about Brady, Dak Prescott, all these guys, right? Brock Purdy, all those guys only got opportunities. Why? Because the starter ahead of them was hurt, and now they never gave it back, right? So now this is the position that Shedeur finds himself in, right? Wait, go ahead. What do you mean? Go ahead.
Okay.
Dak Prescott got the start because Tony Romo got hurt. Brock Purdy got the start because
Trey Lance got hurt.
And then Brady got the start because Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Okay.
But
hold on. You have Russell Wilson, who was a 4th round pick, who beat out the free agent that the Seahawks signed as a rookie.
Yeah. Now, but that's more so of an outlier though. In most instances, you're getting your shine because someone else got hurt, and now it's up to you to never give that starting spot back. But it's also a lot easier for them to kick you out the league. First rounders, they get chance after chance after chance, right? It's more difficult for a late round guy to get that same opportunity, regardless of the talent level.
But here's the thing that I have been told:
Mhm.
the bravado, the arrogance, does not match the play, and the entitlement that and the circus that comes with him. Not juice, not worth the squeeze. This is last night texting with a guy because I really don't care. I
Mm.
honestly just want somebody to take him to stop so these networks stop talking about him.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I gotta go into day 3 of the draft. We talked about shit and that, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
When you take him now,
Yeah.
no matter who you selected in the first, second, or third round, he's going to be the story of your draft every single day.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And,
100%.
and people are going to be, no matter who is ahead of him,
Yeah.
Unless Baltimore takes him, and I think they could do that. I think they could do that. Unless Baltimore takes him, it has to be an organization like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, where
Yeah.
basically the executive or the coach is like, he's my number 3 quarterback. Don't ask
Yeah.
me no questions about him.
Yeah.
Done.
No, that's good. That's good.
Done.
That's
You
good.
know, it has to be that type of organization
Yeah.
so that he can be put in his place.
Yeah.
Problem that I like I give you a perfect example. Let's say the Dolphins have a 4th round pick. Let's say the Dolphins select Shedeur Sanders, which I don't endorse, don't want.
Okay. Yeah. I was about to say.
Shedeur is not my quarterback.
Yeah.
I've watched it. I've seen it in person. I learned from Tua. You have to watch a quarterback in person because I was infatuated with Tua. Infatuated. And everybody will tell you the first day I saw him throw live, I was like, oh, that arm ain't what I thought it was. And I'm not, I still love Tua.
Yeah.
I'm not fronting with you. That
Yeah.
I generally go to the Senior Bowl only so I can look at the quarterback's arms in person.
Mhm.
This only I didn't go to Senior Bowl because I wanted you to go. And I wanted you to pop your cherry. But it I have to see quarterbacks throw in person. Otherwise, you don't get a good feel. And that's why I don't respect the Mel Kipers of the world. I don't. And I never will. I have been doing this job for nearly 20 years. You ain't gonna see Mel Kiper at no Pro Bowl. You ain't gonna see him at no football game. You ain't gonna see him on no pro day workout. You ain't never gonna see Mel Kiper anywhere but an ESPN camera. And you know why? That's horrible because you have to look at a person. You have you have to literally look at a person, see their build, see their makeup. You have to watch a quarterback throw the ball. It helps you in your evaluation, which is why people go to the games, which is why people go to practice, which is why people go to the campuses. Evaluating wise, I'll see Todd McShay and I'll see all the evaluators, Daniel Jeremiah, Louis Ray. You'll see them you will never see Mel Kiper at the combine. Tell me why.
I don't know. That's a better question. Why isn't he at the combine? You tell me.
Listen, because he's fraudulent. But anyway, that's a totally different subject. That's a totally different subject.
I'm about to say how to turn the screw Mel Kiper.
No. This is something I've been on. Like when I realized, like, yo, you don't evaluate players in person. You don't go to the Senior Bowl. Mel Kiper does not go to the Senior Bowl, where you could look at 100 prospects, eyeball to eyeball, up close in person. Tell me how that makes sense to you.
That's real.
Never been there. Explain to me, how does that make sense to you, Isaiah? Please explain it to me.
I don't have an explanation. I don't know.
Okay. Cottage industry, get it. He was a pioneer of the game. Respect.
Respect.
The game has changed, Playboy. But anyway, let me get.
I'm about to say, get off your soapbox real quick.
let me move my soapbox. I'm front about that. So if Mel Kiper tell you Shedeur Sanders is number 1 quarterback, I can tell you Mel Kiper's never seen Shedeur throw in person. Never. Never. I saw Shedeur throw in person here in Miami when he played for Jackson State. I was like, yeah, that ain't an NFL arm.
Yeah.
It was not. There's no. I've been seeing this for 20 something years. I know what it looks like. Joe Flacco fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl in 2008. You know why? Because I heard the ball whiz by me when he threw it. It go, and I was like, oh damn. Like, and Joe Flacco went from a nobody to a 1st round pick at the Senior Bowl.
Shout out
No, I
University of
may see
Delaware,
that.
baby.
Huh?
So shout out the University of Delaware.
Yeah. But anyway, if Shedeur is there in the fourth round when the Dolphins select, are you pulling the trigger?
No, we don't.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Didn't
We
this
don't
team
need that.
need 4 quarterbacks
Look,
last year?
This team does not need a quarterback right now because not right because they have what? Two is their guy, right? Two is their guy.
They got 2 quarterbacks right now. They need 4 to take it to training camp. You are not adding Shedeur Sanders. You need 4 quarterbacks, and two is the most fragile quarterback in the NFL, and you're saying
there
no?
are more pressing needs. We need not 1 but 2 quarterbacks. Please, for the love of God, draft a quarterback. And Perk brought this up last night. Shout out our good colleague Chris Perkins at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Have you seen the schedule, the list of teams that this team is going to have to play? Obviously, Josh Allen twice. They got to go Joe Burrow. Like, you need quarterbacks. For the love of God, you need cornerbacks. And I just don't want to get in a situation where they got to throw like you and me out there at the cornerback position, right? I need a guy. I need somebody
Cam
out
Smith
there.
a little bit better than you, though.
Oh, 100%. He 100% is better than me. But has he played like it on the NFL? No, I'm joking. Let me cap. I'll stop capping. Let me stop capping before somebody finds my NFL tape or my football tape, my high school football tape, because it's trash. But I say this to say, like, on a very real note, like they need somebody at that cornerback position, right? They got 7 picks left, right? They need somebody at that cornerback position. Now, granted, there's still a few guys out there in free agency. Stephon Gilmore is a name that stands out. Asante Samuel Jr., barring, I think he has a back issue, right? Shoulder. Like, barring that, like, checks out, right? So there's guys on the street that can help boost that corner position. However, I don't want a 1-year rental. Like, I want to at least have one guy on my team that I can say, look, that's the future of my cornerback position right there, right? And maybe a guy like a Quincy Riley, who's still available, right? That might be a guy to grab. Like, I just want them to grab somebody, right? Because I'm a very big fan I'm a very big fan of the mentoring these younger positions players, right? Patrick Paul went through that with Teron.
Ain't nobody here to mentor him.
Well, look. I'm saying if they go out and grab a veteran, right? You go that's what I'm saying. That's my point, because I don't want to have 2 1-year rentals at corner, right? I don't want to go through the same rigmarole again. Like, give me one guy and let's go grab someone in free agency.
So that's what you are attacking aggressively in day 3.
Yes.
All right.
Now look. If Shedeur is still there, 5th round, God forbid, now we can start to have a conversation. But I got to use that 4th round pick on a corner.
Okay. To me, I'm going to give you a quick list of names. Cam Scatterboo, the running back from Arizona State.
Yes.
I'm all about changing the tonality of the team. Purdue offensive tackle Marcus Membu. Here's the thing. Offense. Listen, you can never have enough offensive linemen. Okay.
Keep going.
Ty Robinson, Nebraska, defensive tackle. Zay Frazier, Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutman. University of Miami running back Damian Martinez. This is all about setting the tonality of the team.
Wait. Hold on. Pause on everything. You said Damian Martinez?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying you're changing your tone. I said that he fits the bill of a Miami Dolphins running back, and you said no. You said that you didn't like that he doesn't have that top end speed as some of the other guys.
He has decent speed.
You don't need top end speed. You need someone that can run north and south, can run over you.
Yeah,
I don't. Now you're saying I was right. That basically you're saying I was right.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm saying is I don't think he's a Mike McDaniel back.
Okay.
McDaniel likes a very specific back.
Yeah, of course.
And I respect it. But we're talking about changing the tone of this team.
Okay.
We need to stop being a BA team.
Okay.
And so you need to run with a little hammer to you. And then a late round prospect that I really like is Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond. He's falling because he got some Louis Vuitton luggage with him. And I would really, I'm not scared of some luggage people. It depends on the talent level.
I was about to say
it depends on the talent level. I mean, but we got our own luggage wide receiver here. But it'll be interesting to see what the Dolphins do on day 3. Dolphins in depth. We will be back on tomorrow to recap the NFL draft for you. Good luck to everybody in Dolphins land. Hopefully, you get Isaiah the cornerback that he needs. The cornerback thirst is strong in Isaiah.
We need. I'm not trying to
All
see
right.
bombs away every day, every Sunday for 17 weeks straight. No way. Come on.
All right. We will see you tomorrow.